Today, I need you to hold space for me. I also need some hydration first because this business therapist needs some business therapy today. I said what I said because here I am teaching creative women to separate the math from the drama, but I have been hiring a lot of independent contractors. And what I'm finding is that I am ending up with stacks and stacks of document after document after document, while absolutely nothing is moving. No action, no execution, no implementation, just folders, Google Drives, beautifully organized AI generated documents. And I want you to know that I have been frustrated. I am annoyed and I feel a certain way about this because I cannot escape myself. I sat down and realized, I know this person. I have coached this person. This person is inside all of us. So today we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the plan that became the product, the strategy that became the stall, and why your Google Drive being full is not the same thing as your business moving. Let's talk about it. Business can feel very personal and not always in a cozy, fuzzy kind of way. I've figured out a few things along the way and I've got the receipts. Join me as we separate the math from the drama, one business at a time. Let's go. Okay, so this is what happened. I'm building this book. I'm building the podcast, the certification program, Genesis, and I have big plans. Big plans. I decided I needed support. I bring people in to help me with the marketing, brand implementation, and all of that. They seem on paper like talented, responsive, professional, and they start to send me things. They send these brand audits, content strategies, quarterly marketing plans, social media framework, competitor analysis, blah, blah, blah. Every week a new document, and every week I'm opening this document thinking, this is beautiful, this is thorough, this person really understands my vision. But nothing was going up. Nothing was being built. Nothing was being published, scheduled, launched, executed. And I keep waiting and they keep sending more documents, more plans. At one point I opened a document. I was a plan for how we would plan the execution of the strategy. A plan for the plan, y'all, if you ever heard that. And I want you to understand that I teach women about this. I coach women through this exact pattern. And I still sat in front of it for longer than I cared to admit because the documents were so good. They looked like progress. They felt like momentum. That is the trap. That is exactly the trap. And the business therapist had to get on her own couch and ask herself, girl, what are you doing? And where are we going with this? Okay. The difference between planning your business and running your business, planning is necessary. Hear me out. I'm not here to tell you to skip the strategy, but planning has a shelf life. At some point, the plan has to become the work. And I see with contractors, with clients, and honestly with myself in that season, is that we get addicted to the planning phase because it feels safe. A plan cannot fail yet. A plan has not been rejected yet. It hasn't got 0 likes or 0 clients, 0 response. It's still just a plan and it is safe in your Google Drive. It lives beautifully and protected where everything is still possible. But execution is where it gets real. Implementation is where it is uncomfortable. So we make another document. I'm sure this is hitting home. And now let's separate the math from the drama. Here's the math. And I love the math. Every week you spend time planning instead of executing. Every week you are not building evidence. Evidence that your offer works. Evidence that your message lands. Evidence that your audience is out there waiting. You cannot get better at something you're not doing. You cannot refine a process that has not been started. You cannot optimize what has not been launched. The plan does not stage the house. The plan does not coach a client. The plan does not do the thing. Only the work does that. Hey, quick word before we continue. If you're afraid to start a new venture or you're ready for the next step but not sure how to get there, I want to invite you to join me inside Business Therapy at jokedurujaye.me. This is where we take it to the next level. We talk it out and map out your next steps so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. jokedurujaye.me. I'll leave a link for you in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the episode. And this is something that will sting. Most of us already have enough plan. You have had enough of a plan for months. What you have a shortage of is implementation, the path to making money. And sometimes what you have hired is someone to help you stay in the planning phase while calling it progress. I've been doing this for a long time to now start recognizing the pattern. The real problem is not the contractor. It's not even the documents. The real problem is that we have learned to confuse activity with action. Because you sit down in front of Canva, you open it and you create content, but that content goes nowhere, or you're refining yet again something. And researching your niche is not serving your niche. Activity is motion, activity is movement, and they are not the same thing. So when I had someone and I kept accepting documents instead of deliverables, I was participating in the pattern. I was the CEO of planning, and we got comfortable watching wheels spin because at least something was spinning. Business therapy moment. If you would not accept that from yourself, do not accept it from the people that you hire. I had to learn to be very specific, not just about what I wanted someone to do, but what done looks like. And done is not just done writing a document, it is done getting the results from writing that thing. We're not creating content strategy. Done is 3 pieces of content published, scheduled, live by Friday, not develop a launch plan. Done looks like emails are written, the landing page is up, the cards are open on this date. Specificity is not micromanaging, it is leadership. And I am not one to micromanage. In fact, I do not like the word managing when it comes to human beings. If you cannot self-manage, you cannot work with me. You need to be in charge of your own time, in charge of your own projects. I give you all the details of what I want. I walk away. I don't have time to micromanage anyone. And if you cannot describe what done looks like, that is the work you need to do first before you get to the planning stage, because vague direction, it produces all those beautiful documents with 0 results, right? So when do you know that you have crossed from productive planning into productive procrastination? Because that's a thing. So here are the signs. When you have been in the strategy phase for more than 2 weeks, a month, even months, and nothing has been published, nothing has been launched, sent, no money has been made, you are in the drama phase. When you feel busy but you cannot point to a single tangible thing from the last 30 days, you are in the drama phase. When your team or your contractor is active but your audience cannot see it, you are still in the drama phase. Now, the math is very simple. Outputs. What went out? What went live? What moved? What were you paid for? If the answer is documents, go back to the top of this episode and listen again. I will wait. So here is how we reframe that. The plan is the recipe. The work is the cooking, and your audience is hungry. When somebody is hungry, they're not caring about what is in the... Just give them something to eat, and then they will give you the feedback like, okay, maybe add more salt next time. Now we're talking. And we go back to the kitchen and we continue to cook. You already know enough to start, so start. All this documentation and planning and Google Drive and ChatGPT, stop it. Do not send me one more document without a plan on deliverables and how we get to making money. That's all I care about right now. You can tell that I'm very frustrated about this. I'm frustrated with myself for even allowing this to happen. And then evaluate based on outputs, not effort, and hold yourself to the same standard. I need to do that more. So what changes when you shift from planning mode to execution mode is not just your to-do list. I need you to hear this. It is not just your to-do list. It is your confidence, because every time you do one thing, you build evidence and you build confidence that you can do that thing. Every launch, even an imperfect one, it teaches you something a strategy document will never teach you. You're just going to read and reread until you're cross-eyed, and then you get into analysis paralysis, and then you rewrite the document one more time. Every piece of content, however, that you publish, every email that you send, every proposal, every output into the world, it says, I am someone who does the work. And then now you can start trusting yourself to do more of it and improve on what you do. So that is the identity shift from someone who has a plan to someone who runs a business. The business therapist learned her lesson, and she's now hiring implementers and not documenters. She's asking for outputs and deliverables and ROIs, not outlines. And she's minding her own business therapist business accordingly. Okay, if any part of this episode hits home for you, I want you to sit with this question. Where in your business are you planning instead of moving? Not as adjustment, not as anything else, but as information, because that is what business therapist is built for. And if you're ready to roll up your sleeves, get to work and actually implement and execute and stop the planning and stop the ChatGPT strategy session, let's get you some actual momentum in business therapy. The link is in the show notes. Come work with me. But hey, if you're looking for the 5-step plan to get rich quick, please do not call me. But if you're ready to expand your mind, then give me a call. I'm Joke Durojaye, your business therapist who occasionally needs to get into her own couch. Thank you for listening and keep doing all the things until next time. You've been listening to the Creative Business Mindset podcast, produced and edited by the Media Designers. I'm your host and favorite business therapist, Joke Durojaye. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. It's a wrap.